Welcome back to Rachel B. The Healthy Week. Today I'm going to share with you some stamping tips and tricks since recently I posted about these snowflake stamping plates that I purchased, and one of our subscribers asked if I could show how to do the general stamping. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing you want to do is make sure that the base or whatever color you're using on the nails that you're going to be stamping, whether that be a press-on set or your actual nails, is dry. Always make sure it's nice and dry. Secondly, you want to make sure that you have everything you need because timing is key when stamping. So first thing you're going to need is 100% acetone. It needs to be 100% acetone because other acetones, in order to not dry out your skin, usually have oils added to them, and you don't want that in this medium because it'll affect how the lacquer lays down. So again, 100% acetone. We're going to need paper towels, as you see here. Stamping can be quite messy, and this will help keep your area clean. We're going to need tape or a lint roller, whichever one you happen to prefer. I'm going to be using some plain tape today. You're going to need stamping polish, either a specific stamping polish brand. There are a few lacquer polishes that can be used. I found that Sally Hansen's Instant Dry works really well. You're just looking for something that's opaque and transfers well. You can play around with polishes if you have several and see what works for you. Then, of course, I like to use gloves. And now the gloves are specifically, again, as I mentioned, stamping can be kind of messy. And if you want to protect your current manicure and your hands from getting, especially if you're using black, dirty, I just go ahead and use a pair of gloves. You don't have to do this. If you don't do this, then just remember to be careful so that you don't mess up your design. So third thing we're going to talk about is the second most important thing that you do with stamping is cleaning your stamping plates between each and every stamping application. Now, the etchings that are in stamping plates are not very deep. So if you continue to leave polish in them, they will get to the point where they're not transferring very well. So you want to make sure you clean your stamping plate, your stamper, and your little scraper as well between each and every application. I know this takes a little bit of extra time, but it's well worth it to get a nice clean transfer. We're gonna go ahead and talk about not using too much pressure when we're doing the stamping as well. So here I'm going to use the stamping plates that I showed you with the snowflakes. And this has a bunch of fun random snowflakes, and if you have a longer nail, the nice thing is you can get quite a bit of design for a nail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick an area up here. This is a stamping polish, so I'm just going to put a line at the top. Sometimes when you're using a non-stamping specific polish, you may need to put a little bit more for pigmentation. I'm going to hold this at 45 degrees, my scraper. I'm going to give it some nice firm pressure, and I'm going to strike back once and then wipe. Then I'm going to go ahead and what I call a drop and pop. We're going to drop it down, pop it back up, and you see we have our transfer. Then we're going to come right on over here, grab one of our nails here, and we are going to drop it and pop it from one side, then the other, and pull off. And voila, there we go. Now that we've done that, we want to go ahead and clean our scraper and our stamper. So what we're going to do is take the tape we talked about, and it's just as simple as that. Takes it right off, and just simple tape. The scraper, because I did that wipe off right after, is looking pretty good. And this, of course, we'd want to clean with acetone. So drop and pop. Remember, pop and drop. You're just gonna pop it down, pop it up, pop it onto your nail, and then you're going to roll. And the only reason we're rolling is if your nail has a nice C curve to it, you want to make sure you get both side walls. So the stamper itself, sometimes when you get a new stamper, they don't always pick up. So the two things you can do. First thing is you want to wash it with Dawn detergent and then wipe it really well with something lint free. That way, if there's any debris or any kind of residue that's causing it not to pick up, you get rid of that. If you do that and you still can't get it to pick anything up, then the tried and true method, which does take some of the opacity out of the stamper, is to use a buffer and lightly buff the surface and then clean it. This is the only tried and true way I know of that works every single time. Unfortunately, like I said, it does take some of the opacity out of the stamper, but if you can't get it to pick up any other way, then it's not working anyways. And again, the most important thing we do when we're stamping is working quickly. All you have to remember is this is still nail polish lacquer. So the longer you take, the more it's drying and the less likely you are to get a good transfer. Now there are several different types of plates. Sometimes you have large designs like this one here where you can pick up just a portion of it. Those are fun. And then sometimes you have the difference between one that will, do an entire nail versus some smaller ones. And these smaller ones are still fine because you can just pick them up and transfer them twice, or maybe even do a partial design. Then you even have some of the fun long line ones that you can put across or down the center of the nail to give a nice design there. For our next transfer, so that you can watch me pop and drop, I'll go ahead and do one of these real quick for you. So let's go ahead and choose this one here. So again, this is stamping polish, and I'm using black today so that we can see it really well on the white. And remember, we're gonna grab our scraper. We're gonna hold it at that 45-degree angle with a decent amount of pressure, strike back. And like I said, try and strike once, but that didn't work. So I'm gonna have to hit it again. So I'm gonna strike back again. And that took 3, which, like I said, if you can, try and only strike back once. The more you do it, the more likely you are to continue to remove polish. And you don't want to remove any of the polish that you need. So we popped it down, picked up the image, and now we're dropping it and rocking it. So we can rock it back and forth to go ahead and get both side walls. So there's that one there. And remember, we're going to go ahead and clean off our stamper by simply placing the tape and cleaning it there. Our scraper looks pretty good because I used that paper towel. And we'll do one final one, and I'll draw again from the snowflake plates, since that's something that I talked about in my previous video. Now, if I was using this to do this design again, I would need to clean that with acetone, because once it starts filling in the little grooves, it really can't be utilized again and again. This time, let's see if we can go ahead and grab this big snowflake here. So I'm going to strike this all the way across that big snowflake design there. We're going to grab our scraper, go at that 45-degree angle, and strike back. I'm going to grab that. And now on this particular one, I just want this big snowflake. So I'm going to grab my tape and I'm going to grab everything else and take it away that I don't want. Now I'm going to grab the nail that I want to put it on, place it where I want it to go, and then drop and roll. And there we go. There's that one there. So I'm pretty sure by now you understand you don't need to be super firm. In fact, being too firm, as I said, will actually get rid of some of your polish. It'll push it out of the design, and you don't want that. You also don't want to be super firm on the nail. You want it to just gently release onto the nail. So let's go ahead and we will do one more, and then I feel like you should be confident and know exactly how you're going to do this in the future. here's another snowflake plate. That's the other nice thing about those snowflake plates, is that there's so many of them that you can keep working back to back in conjunction without cleaning the plate, because you can move from one section of the plate to another. Just kind of a nice feature when you're stamping. So again, 45-degree angle, a little bit of pressure, strike back. See, now with that one, I was able to strike back just once, which is what we're looking for. I grabbed this at an angle because I liked those designs. You can see how it picked up nicely. And now I'm trying to decide how I want to put it. I think I'm going to do it this way. And see how pretty that is. And it picked up really nicely. If I wanted to add like a little piece of one over here, maybe a little bit more, since I still have some here, I could grab that, place it down, and look at that. There we go. So, all in all, most important thing is time. Work quickly, have everything you need at the fingertips, 100% acetone, a polish of your choosing, whether that be stamping or a heavily opaque, your plates, your tape, your stamper, your scraper, and you're ready to rock and roll. The last tip I have to give you is make sure you float your top coat. What does that mean? It means start at the bottom with enough of the top coat that you're not dragging it, but you're literally floating it, just moving the top coat itself over so that you do not smudge your design. I'll go ahead and demonstrate that. Now on a design like this could be a regular clear top coat, but it also can be a fun top coat with a little bit sparkle to add. So you see I'm putting decent amount and then I'm just floating it up. Try not to strike over the same area of the design more than once and just float it up. So I'm really just touching the top coat, not putting any pressure on the design. And you get a beautiful glossy coverage without smearing. Hope this helps. If you have any additional questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll do my absolute best to answer them. Thanks for watching.